I have come across a very interesting list. It's from ESPN. They're calling it their college football future power rankings through 2026. So power rankings for the next 2 years of college football. Ooh, I didn't mean to shake the camera, but this is the criteria. They'll be evaluated in the following categories: returning quarterback, likelihood of a multi-year quarterback on the roster, offensive line and defensive line outlook, roster management, star power, meaning All-Americans, national award contenders, all-conference contenders, and the coaching staff. So they base it off of 6 different pieces of criteria to come up with an overall ranking. They ranked 68 teams. I'm assuming these are the power conference teams. But let's go ahead and jump to the top 10. I'm assuming Georgia's in the top 5. Let's find it. Let's look at this list blindly. I haven't looked at this list. Let's count it down from 10 to 1 and then dive into it. Ryan Curley from Dawg Post. Make sure you're going to dawgpost.com. I'll pump a little bit of what we're doing in a minute, but I want to get to this. In their future rankings, number 10, they've got the Alabama Crimson Tide. It says that they used to have them ranked at number 4. I guess there's not a lot of hype in Ty Simpson. Just kind of skimming through this. I just kind of want to skim through, and then we could talk about it in more detail. Number 9, they've got Tennessee moving up from number 13. Okay. So they think Tennessee is in better shape than Alabama over the next 2 seasons. Number 8, they've got LSU. Okay. Number 7, they've got Clemson. Number 6, they've got Penn State moving up from 10. Clemson moving up from 12. So some of these teams have fallen. Notre Dame moving up to 5. They used to be number 7. Number 4, they've got Oregon. Number 3, they have Georgia. One of the teams moved down. Apparently moved down from number 1 to number 3. So the Georgia Bulls are number 3 on this list. The Ohio State Buckeyes are number 2 on this list, staying put. And the Texas Longhorns just traded places with Georgia being the number 1 team. Let's look at what they've got to say about Georgia. Returning quarterback, kind of, but not really, is basically what they're saying. Obviously with Gunnar Stockton, who has a couple of games of experience at this point now. So I get that. Likelihood of a multi-year quarterback. They think a lot depends on this fall. Georgia opted not to add a proven transfer following Beck's departure and will go with Stockton, the number 110 overall recruit in 2022, who's waited his turn. If he pans out, he could play through 2026. Georgia also has redshirt freshman Ryan Puglisi and other younger quarterbacks, but could go transfer hunting. Look, Georgia brought in Jared Curtis, 5-star quarterback. They've got Ryan Puglisi at the ready for whenever Gunnar Stockton's turn is over, and that could happen this year. Who knows? I think that Georgia, in terms of the quarterback position, kind of has the future sorted out, unless they do want to go after a transfer and just don't trust somebody. Offensive and defensive line outlook. They think I'll just read it. Both lines lose players to the NFL draft, including defensive end Mykel Williams. Georgia returns Christian Miller, who started 10 games on the defensive line along with Gabe Harris and Jordan Hall, who were limited with injuries. The offensive line brings back only 1 starter in Ernest Green, and they expect Micah Morris and Drew Bobo to take on bigger roles. Those things are true. There's a lot of hype around Christian Miller. That's something that I'm noticing as this offseason goes on, that people think Christian Miller is an all-conference defensive lineman, that he's potentially a first-round defensive lineman in the future. We'll see about that. Year 4 for Christian Miller. Obviously started his career kind of behind Jalen Carter and then Warren Brinson and those guys, but now it's his turn to be one of the starters, and I think he and Jordan Hall will kind of make up a duo in the middle that should be improved from last year. Roster management. Okay, the next category. Georgia's decision not to add a transfer quarterback will be scrutinized if Stockton struggles, but the team brought in talent at other offensive skill spots: Zachariah Branch, Noah Thomas, Josh McCray. The team added to its depth on defense and retained most of its best players other than Beck, a surprise portal entry. Georgia signed ESPN's top-ranked recruiting class in 2024 and the number 2 class last year. So obviously this is a part that Georgia is going to continually be good at, bringing in top 3, top 5 classes, in some years the number 1 class in college football. From a high school standpoint, they have brought in just as much talent as any other program. Texas is doing it at an elite level. Ohio State is doing it at an elite level. Part of why those 2 teams are ranked ahead. But we'll dive into why those 2 teams are ranked ahead after I read the last portions of their criteria. From Star Power, they think that Dalen Everett and Brett Thorson Christian Miller, Nate Frazier, the new wide receiver, and KJ Bolden are kind of the stars on this team. Just skimming through that paragraph. Dalen Everett was all SEC third team, all SEC third team. And I do think he's one of the better cornerbacks in college football this coming season. I do think that his return to Georgia was a big win. I think it was a huge win, right? Him returning, Oscar Delp returning, some of these older players returning. You need older talent that is experienced and has accolades. You need that to win and to move forward and with what is a younger team, right? And I think you really need that older talent to come through and be a big part of why you win. I think that was evident of that 2021 team. I think it was evident of the 2022 team. I think it was evident of Ohio State last year and Michigan the year before. And pretty much all of these national championship teams, they have older talent that has been around for a couple years. Georgia doesn't have as much of that this season. And college football in general doesn't have as much retained older talent as it used to. But they've got a good mixture of young talent in Nate Frazier, KJ Bolden, and some older stars like Dalen Everett. Not as much star power as Georgia normally has. I think we're going to find out about that. Coaching staff. Look, I don't even need to read this thing. Kirby is arguably, not even really arguably, he's the best coach in college football. Glenn Schumann's one of the best defensive coordinators in college football. Mike Bobo, I think people don't want to hear it, is one of the better offensive coordinators in the sport, and there's a reason why he's Georgia's offensive coordinator. And that's just kind of how it is. It's a really good staff that, from a position standpoint, Trey Scott has done a really good job with the defensive line. Todd Hartley, I think, is a future offensive coordinator, right? And a guy that has recruited his position maybe better than anybody else in terms of just bringing in talent. That Georgia tight end position, Brock Powers, Darnell Washington, all of the highly ranked recruits they have on the roster right now, they've just done a really good job recruiting that position. So why is Ohio State ranked ahead of Georgia? Let's dive into what they're saying a little bit. In terms of coaching, obviously Ryan Day coming off of a national championship. In terms of star power, they talk about Sonny Styles, the linebacker. They talk about Caleb Downs, the safety. They talk about Jeremiah Smith, the wide receiver. I do think that Ohio State's star power is a little bit better, so I give them that edge there. In terms of roster management, I think that you would say Georgia and Ohio State are pretty even in terms of the high school recruiting, in terms of just they've brought in a lot of talent through the portal and high school recruiting. I think it's pretty even. On the line, I think that they're in a similar position as well. Lost a lot to the NFL and has some unproven talent. That's pretty much a similar position. In terms of quarterback, there's definitely more faith in Julian Sayin being a very good quality quarterback for Ohio State for the next 2 to 3 seasons than any of the guys on Georgia doing that for the Dogs. And that's probably why they are ranking Ohio State ahead of Georgia. I think it comes down to the quarterback. And that might be the same thing when I skim through this Texas portion. Arch Manning, at least 1 year quarterback, probably 2, is a big reason why. Texas is recruiting as well as anybody else, and that's another reason why. Their roster management has been great, bringing in these top 5 classes and bringing in some transfers. And my view of it in terms of that is that when we're talking about like these top 3, 4, 5 teams here, Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, a lot of that at the top end is very similar. They're bringing in these top 5 classes. They're bringing in key transfers. They've got star talent. They've got NFL first-round talent. You're really picking – it's really apples to apples when you're looking at the top. So, like, if you're a Georgia fan and it upsets you that they're ranked 3 on this features list, first of all, it's kind of it's a list that's made up. It's a content list. It's not like a weekly ranking. But it is interesting that in every way that I look at it, there is a lack of faith in Georgia's quarterback situation. There's a lack, and that is exactly why Georgia's ranked 3 and not 1 on this list. It's because of Arch Manning and Julian Sayin and Gunnar Stockton. Other than that, they hold Georgia in a higher regard than pretty much every other program. It's the quarterbacks that's holding Georgia on this list back. Will that happen in real life? I don't think so, but we'll see. Let me know what you think down below.